Oh, sorry, Billy.
Did not participate. Anderson, hamstring. Bergstrom, ankle, knee. Doxson, in concussion protocol. McCoy, fibula. Reed, ankle, foot. Limited. Ionitis, shin. Inseki, knee. Deion Hamilton, shoulder. Peterson, shoulder. And Moses, ankle. And blisters.
Do you have some IR decisions to make on some of those guys? Reed, Colt?
We have roster decisions to make, yes, possibly. You know, if we're still going through the process on who we want to play and possibly dress, we got another day or so to figure all that out.
With those two, particularly with Jordan Reed and Colt McCoy, are they in the discussion for IR, or are they hanging around?
We have been talking about them. We feel pretty good that Jordan's got a chance to, you know, Jordan's coming along, and Colt, we're optimistic. So we just got to get with the trainers and do what's best for those guys, number one, and then obviously for the team.
What's the latest on him? What's the kind of the process of getting him back and evaluating him?
Well, he's just healing right now, so we got to wait, and it'll be a little while before he can get out of the boot. And then once he gets out of the boot, he'll start the process of working out and getting better.
How has Josh Johnson looked so far in practice? And when you have a quarterback who has maybe a different skill set from what you had before, the fine line between, you know, finding new plays and disrupting what you guys have been doing for 14 weeks, how hard is that?
When you have a new quarterback, brand new, you're going to disrupt it a little bit. So you have to try to figure out things that he can do to try to move the chains a little bit. Jacksonville has a very veteran-style defense. You know, very good defensive coordinator, very great skill at the secondary, you know, with the players that they have with Jalen. And obviously Sean Gibson's a great safety, and, you know, it's a very good defense. So we got to figure out how to attack them and then make him comfortable as possible. Also trying to install some things that might make him more effective that fits his skill set.
A feel for who might start at guard this week?
We're working through a couple guys. You know, we're trying to get Ty in there still, and obviously we're still looking at a few others.
To follow up on Tarek's question, how does somebody with Jalen Ramsey's skill set complicate planning for a quarterback like Josh Johnson who hasn't started yet and needs those reps? And do you ever tell a quarterback who isn't very experienced, do you ever advise him to stay away from certain cornerbacks or certain sides
throw
of the
it
field?
to A.J. Bowie? Bouye? Yeah, he's pretty good too.
That's the problem, yeah.
So, yeah, that's what makes their defense pretty effective. They have two great corners. Like I said, Gibson can come out of the middle and cover a tight end very effectively, and their linebackers are very fast that can handle the backs. So when they do play man-to-man, they're pretty effective, and they had an unbelievable pass rush, really good pass rush. So they play some zones. They, you know, we got to attack their zones. We got to protect the quarterback, but most importantly, we have to stay out of third and long, and we got to run the ball effectively somehow.
How much can you incorporate Josh's legs, and does that require much change for what you guys want to do?
Doesn't require much change. I think the terminology will be easy for us. I think the big thing is when he drops back to pass, our receivers have to adjust to possible movement in the pocket. That means breaking off routes. You know, you might have a basic cross, and it might turn into a corner route or might turn into a comeback, but they got to make sure they stay alive when he scrambles. He's very effective in the pocket moving around.
Alex can do that. Colt can do that. So is there something the way Josh does it that's a little bit different from what or anything?
He'd probably do it more often. You know, especially this week with the pass rush that Jacksonville has. There'll probably be a lot of movement around. But we'll see. You know, we have some different type plays, getting them outside the pocket possibly, but we'll see. I think he's trying to just get into the flow of our terminology, our system, the plays that we like that are good for what Jacksonville does, and then also trying to implement some things that he can do well.
How serious or limiting is Deion Hamilton's shoulder?
He practiced today. He's sore, though. You know, he was limited. He was off and on there, but, you know, he said it's pretty sore.
Do you see him still getting the start over Brown this week?
We'll see. We haven't made that decision yet. We're just making sure we get the defenses taught that we're going to use in this game plan, and, you know, they both can play. There's no doubt about it.
Zach told us yesterday that he saw he sees the writing on the wall for his future here. I guess just what did you make of those comments? Or? Nobody
wrote anything on the wall, really. He hasn't talked to me yet, so I don't know what he's saying. You know, so I try not to. Like I said, I don't read anything, and if anybody has a problem, they come see me.
We've talked about penalties a few times. I know it was specific to the offensive holding. Is there anything when you guys review the tapes or anything in your approach or the way you talk to the refs that you can do or try to do to try to nip that?
Yeah, we try. We teach the fundamentals. We watch the referee tapes every week, and we watch the penalties that were called on us, and we talk about them and the techniques that we use. We don't ever teach holding, contrary to belief. We don't. I mean, so but there are times on the backside where that you sometimes try to pull yourself through, and that can be viewed as holding. But some teams get called for it, some teams don't. There's a lot of those gray areas that we seem to be getting called for a little bit more than others, but that's something we're trying to work through and teach. But when you have different guys playing and you're running the same schemes with different people and different combinations, sometimes it gets a little difficult.
Jay, you guys have had Chris Thompson back for a couple of weeks now. What's the key to kind of getting him a little bit more loose?
Well, I think the big thing is staying on the field. I think it's very, very important having drives of 7, 8, 9 plays somehow where we can utilize both Adrian and Chris and Byron or Capri or Samaje, whoever else is up. So when you're 3 and out and you're 3rd down and 18, let's throw a screen pass to Chris and hopefully we'll break it. But we got to stay in the positive down and distance, move the chains, have some effective drives. Chris's strength when we're in 3rd down, 4, 5, 6, we expect some man-to-man. We get some matchups or zone coverages where he can attack zone coverage. 3rd and 18, I mean, you guys probably can play defense and get a stop. So more difficult. So like I said, the key is to get us in some good drives so they both can play and be effective. No. Thank
You
God.
don't want to. For Manusky, just how did you think he did at guard?
He did good. I don't think people really realize that it's really totally different going from tackle to guard. When you're playing left tackle, right tackle, and then you go to guard, it's a different stance, it's a different set, it's different eye progression, it's different combination blocks in the running game, it's different pass sets. It's different, a lot different. He's been very good to us in his role as far as backup tackle, and when he's had to play, he's been very good at both right side and left side. Then you ask him to move to guard, and the words and the plays are the same, but they're different for a guard. You yawning? No. Oh.
Jay, I guess in general, after Sunday's performance like Sunday, have you seen the response you want to receive, especially from your veterans out here? Because that was tough, obviously, Sunday and all the injuries and things like that. Have you seen the response this week you were hoping for?
Yeah, it was tough. I think you have to learn from losses like that, and you have to do everything you can not to let that happen again. That's what we're trying to do, but you also have to forget about it as fast as you can and move forward and understand that we're in December and we're half a game out of the playoff hunt. That's the fact. So if you start thinking about, we've lost this game and that game, and we didn't stop this play, and we couldn't throw this pass, then you have no chance. So we have to be confident moving forward. We have to have good practices. We have to be focused in meetings. Coaches have to have a good plan, and we got to go get a victory against a team that was a game away from the Super Bowl last year. Thanks, Coach. Yep.
All right. Is that it? Thanks.
When you look back at the first half from Sunday, what were some of the big things that stood out that you tried to clean up and successfully did to a point in the second half, and obviously you're trying to take forward?
Yeah, it's run fits. I think, the biggest thing, very good back. We knew that going into the game. We had to stop the run. We didn't get it done in certain situations. The biggest thing for us is trying to get those big backs down. And sometimes the run fits, we didn't hit them the way we wanted to, and wasn't a good first half.
For missed tackling, you said earlier in the year that guys have to kind of swarm the ball and all be there at once. Is there a reason why that's not as consistent recently?
Well, I think just overall, consistency of swarming to the ball is major. I'm saying, the National Football League. We didn't get it done. We got to do a better job better job in the coaching aspect, and same thing on the field. We got to make sure that we get those big players down. Playing a running back like that this week, good running back, big body guy that could hit it right downhill, and we got to make sure that we tackle him in space, tackle him in the box, and just hone him into that box area.
Greg, I feel like we've asked this question a couple weeks in a row and still trying to figure it out. I mean, what's the biggest change that you've seen, considering you guys still have most of the same guys? Quentin's out, but it's most of the same guys that were really successful earlier in the season. So trying to figure out what's the difference now.
I wish I had I could put my finger on it, across the board. But I think we got to keep on practicing, keep on preaching the tackling, the angles to the ball, and swarming to the ball, because I think those things, eventually we got to make sure we take hold of in these next 3 weeks that we're playing, because you never know what's going to happen.
How much input do you take from guys like DJ, Mason, the leaders on this defense, as they've expressed frustration in various forms about how things have gone recently? How much do you talk to them and try to maybe even implement some of their thoughts into what you're doing?
Well, I think it's important to talk to those guys and see what their feelings are, across the board. Want to do the best that we can. But as coaches, we're having our game plan, and sometimes we'll get some adjustments, and if those adjustments need to be made, we'll make some adjustments at times, based upon not so much what they say, but, sometimes they bring light to certain things that we as coaches sometimes don't see, and sometimes we'll implement some of the stuff that they do say, into the game plan, not so much from a call perspective, but sometimes of a leverage kind of stuff.
How do you think Sean Dion Hamilton played?
I think he played okay. First game in the National Football League, in the regular season. Can he play better? I think, yeah. All of us can. And we got to make sure we do it this week. We got an opponent that I think we got to get after and swarm to the ball.
How's Jonathan and Duran holding up endurance-wise? They're young guys. Has that caught up to them a little bit in a long season?
I think, playing at Alabama the years that they played, they played a decent amount of games. So I think overall, it's a grind every time that you're playing in the National Football League from the start to finish. You always got nicks, bruises, things here and there. But, for the most part, they've been playing pretty good.
How hard is it at this point in the season with limited practice time and want to keep guys fresh to not just practice your game plan during the week, but nail down back on maybe some of the day one type of, or OTA type of fundamentals of playing to the right shoulder, playing the right leverage, things like that have been problems on some of these bigger plays?
Yeah, I think that's very important, but, from a practice standpoint, you got so many reps, I think, with the walkthroughs and stuff, you try to get that and try to get it their right fits. And then during practice, it's pretty much, you don't have as many plays as you normally did in the beginning of the season or during training camp, but you try to focus on that and try to talk about it. It's very important.
When you're studying the Jaguars and Leonard Fournette, he hasn't been having the same kind of season he had as his rookie campaign, but how does he compare to some of the other top running backs you've all had to face this year?
A big cat that could really see the field, you know what I'm saying? Good downhill runner that can strike, and, he's got that explosive speed to get around the edge. So, from last year to this year, he's still a good running back. I know he was out for a little bit of time, but I'm just saying from our standpoint, I think he's a good running back. All right, guys. Thanks.